Ready to pick it up?
Yeah. All right.
Dave, I think you was geeking out.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
Dave.
I don't even remember. Like, to be honest with you, it was so long ago, right?
We were just singing the praises of the legendary, wonderful Mr. Trotter, Mr. Tariq Trotter.
Yeah.
Real quick, me and Alexis were talking about the greatness of Questlove, and I'll let her chime in when she's ready. But I did want to point out the fact that Questlove is such a unheralded producer. I had to end up, I think I shared this in a thread with you and Shizz, that Questlove and Eminem actually produced a pop song together.
Wow.
Yeah, wasn't it the Skylar Grey joint?
It was a Skylar Grey joint called the name of it escapes me.
Yeah,
I'll find it in a minute. It just escapes me right now. But M produced it and called Questlove to play the drums on it, and it's so basic, but it's so energetic.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, we talk about how talent makes it look effortless. Questlove on the drums makes things look so easy, and it's not. I'm done. The floor is whoever wants to take it. I'm done.
It's not easy.
I definitely want to sing the praises of Questlove, and I have a few things I want to say just really quickly. Firstly, just major congratulations on him winning, the Oscar for Summer of Soul, which when we think about it, Summer of Soul literally, it just came out, and for the impact that it had to revisit a moment in time for not only Black history, but for Black music, I think is so powerful. And that's definitely, to me, I consider it, a win for Philly, but definitely a win for Black culture as well. So that's why I wanted to definitely show Questlove so much love. But if we're talking about him musically, so two things that came to mind for me. First thing was one of my favorite singers, pop singers of the 2000s was Christina Aguilera. Now, I was a fan of.
She has some pipes. She has some pipes, though.
No, I'm still a fan.
I was a fan of Christina Aguilera, and
I'm still a fan. I don't care what nobody says.
And she's always going to have a special place in my heart. But definitely on her second album, Stripped, she had a song on there that, come to find out, was produced by Questlove. And and that's just reading the credits and everything like that. But, when we talk about Questlove, even Black Thought as producers, you don't know unless you are really intent on reading the credits and finding out who's actually making this music. But yeah, he produced a song on her album. And let's not forget one of the dopest R&B soul, neo soul, whatever you want to call it, albums that have come out, within the last 20 years or so, maybe ever, which is D'Angelo's Voodoo. I mean, if you're familiar with D'Angelo, in the relationship that he had with Questlove was it was a partnership. So essentially they created Voodoo, and that's I mean, that album is super crazy. So
and the partnership is still there because the Black Messiah album, Questlove was still involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about giving people their flowers, I think it's important that, I want to give that love to Black Thought because I think it's definitely deserved. But I also think as much as Questlove has gotten his as popular as he is, I think people don't realize how deep he's inserted, how deeply he's integrated into certain parts of entertainment culture. I mean, this man has gotten around, and he's really just incredibly talented, and there's just so much that could be said about him. But I really had to give him just a moment, of space.
Let me give somebody else some flowers real quick, right?
Yeah.
Charles Stone III. Name may not
what's up?
It may not pop off like a Hype Williams or somebody like
that.
No,
I'm rolling. Let's go.
I definitely want to give him a big shout out because, again, y'all know me, y'all know I like visuals. And back then, and I say back then like it was the Stone Age or something, right? But like, I'm a big
let your kids tell it. Let your kids tell it.
right, exactly. Right. But I'm a fan of visuals, and I'm all and I remember when like music videos were like a thing, and I thought the concept for that video for the next movement was so dope. Like, because it could have been one thing. It could have been one thing for them to just do it forward, right? And it was just so so simplistically complicated, is what I'll say. Because it's one thing for them to could have just stood forward, turned to the left, turn to the, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case may be. Actually, that's my right, your left. Turn to the right, turn to the left, turn backwards. But then they went upside down. They went on their heads, you know what I'm saying? It was like, so I thought that the simple concept of that video was just so, like, it was just so, even a little part when the little showgirls was pulling back the curtain and they messed up because they did.
Yeah.
I thought that whole concept was dope.
Hey, Shizz.
What's up?
You know what's crazy? I'm glad that you shouted out Charles Stone, right? Because for those that don't know, when Shizz mentioned his name, I said, what's up? The Budweiser What's Up commercials from the 90s was a Philly thing.
They don't know nothing about it.
No, Charles Stone is the light-skinned dude with the beard.
Oh,
right.
Stop playing.
No. So wait. We just getting started. The reason I bring this up is because as much as underrated and as underappreciated as the Roots collectively are, rest in peace to Malik B, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Scott Storch, Charles Stone. Who you think they got their start with? They started with Philly and they started with the Roots. Yes, that's Scott Storch.
Started weird?
Yeah.
Lean back, Scott Storch. Just a little bit, Dr. Dre family tree, Scott Storch.
Right.
Yeah.
They started with the Roots.
So let's do this.
Dave mentioned Don't Say Nothing. Who produced it? Scott Storch.
Yes, sir.
So that Roots collective means a lot for a lot of people that made a lot of impact outside of just Philadelphia.
Right.
So let me U-turn, right?
Go ahead, you got it.
Because again, you know what I'm saying? We said, of course, we've been sitting here geeking over Black Thought, The Roots. We gave Questlove his due. Shout out to a drummer hollering at another drummer to create, you know what I'm saying, the essence, to kind of like utilize some of the breaks and vocals and all that. Because I'm going to say a name that maybe a lot of people may not be familiar with, but this particular break has been sampled at I want to say at least 1,000 times.
It's the most sampled drum beat.
So Dave, we was talking, right? Because when we was doing our homework, we saw that there was like several samples that were like kind of vocal samples that were incorporated and used and all of that kind of stuff, and some sounds or whatever. I focused on the James Brown sound from the Funky Drummer. The Funky Drummer is a gentleman going by the name of Clyde Stubblefield. Mm-hmm. And his drum break has to be one of the most sampled
Clyde Stubblefield, boy. Yeah,
breaks in again coming from a drummer.
It should be a break that's like inducted into like every
right into the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Every sound.
Every hip hop record from the 80s sampled it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I say that to say, right,
go ahead.
The Funky Drummer has been sampled like mad times, but again, I'll revert back to my first question I had for you two gentlemen before. What other genres of music outside of hip hop do you listen to? Because that drum break has been sampled in Ree, you gonna know this, Let Me Ride by Dr. Dre.
Of course.
Fight the Power by Public Enemy.
Of course.
Yep.
The Powerpuff Girls, the theme song to that.
Yeah.
Then also too, and George Michael for his Freedom Freedom 90 track as well.
No, are you serious?
This drum break has been used by anybody and everybody.
Yeah, hip hop ain't the only one that's sampling nowadays, man.
And the unfortunate thing is, again, if you refer back to our earlier episodes, our educational joints,
this hurts.
He wasn't being compensated for any of that.
Yeah.
So it's so unfortunate when you have, you know what I'm saying, a sound or a rhythm that's being reused and used so many times, you know what I'm saying, and gentleman is not being compensated. Look forward to that 24 Karat Black episode that's going to be dropping soon too as well, because we talk about that a little bit too. Plug. But you know what I'm saying, it's unfortunate that sound has been utilized so much and he hasn't been being compensated. But we want, like we said, give them their flowers while they can smell them. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, we're doing this for his estate now. So we're going to give Clyde a little bit of his flowers, because again, I watched a making of video on YouTube of him, like he was being interviewed and he was like, yo, how did you do it? And he basically was like, yo, I kind of just made it up. That's like my own individual thing. And it was like, man, mind blown, man. Because again, it's sometimes it's no amount of education, no amount of technical skill, no amount. Sometimes it just comes from within.
Yeah.
That was God, man.
Created a hip hop masterpiece in essence.
No,
so,
you know,
Dave, whoever want to go, I'm gonna go ahead.
Well, let me. The thing that trips me out about that is when because I listened to that James Brown song, right, and I'm like, I don't hear where this sample is in this song, right? I would never ever think that the Roots would have sampled a drummer, because they already had a drummer,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I never even really paid attention to.
But what did y'all say when Nori said, when you pull your ego and put that to the side?
That's exactly right. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And then you know what? It's because Clyde Stubblefield, unbeknownst to him, is one of the fathers of rap. So you play that drum beat just to give the MC enough room to go in, right. And then you build around it.
Right.
So it's
a foundation. I just
wish that the industry, and it's gotten better slightly. I just wish the industry wasn't built on what it's built on. There's no reason that Clyde Stubblefield shouldn't have been paid, even on the back end. You know what I mean? But
it's up to us. It's up to us, man. Real talk. We need to take that back. You know, it's ours. It's our culture. Honestly, man, we need to figure that out. You know what I mean? I get it. We're here talking about the music and we're talking about how it made us feel, but real talk, that's the other part. That's what PE's kind of like, founded on, I guess educating ourselves and figuring this right here out. Like we're just saying, like, why the hell is this man, not royalty in our world, right? So this is education, right? Like we need to change that. We need to we need to switch it up on them, definitely take our masters, take charge of what talents that we bring to the game. My bad, that's a PE moment.
No. Go.
Lex, you pointing, what you got?
Well, Jay, Jay and Dave, did y'all want to say any more?
Oh, I'm good.
You're good.
Okay. Yeah, because when we think about the inception of hip hop and we think about what people were working with at that time, I mean, it's not to say, I never want to make it out to be like people didn't know how to play, instruments or anything like that, or people weren't attempting to do that. But, a lot of it was electronically based as far as the instruments that were being utilized, so considering
shout out to the synthesizer.
Right. Right. So
favorite instrument.
Like turntables and, the other samplers and machines that were being used at that time. I mean, considering all of that, how it was kind of moving away from, live instrumentation to something that was more electronic, you had people, not only the 80s, but if we're talking about even 90s hip hop, how they were reaching back into the crates and reaching back for those sounds, and how like years later, the copyright law, because, talking about referencing, these musicians, talking about Clyde Stubblefield, talking about Ahmad Jamal, talking about James Brown, talking about, Stan Getz, who was another, person that we talked about, sample for Running from Jay Dilla, right? So just saying all that to say, you had so many people who before, let's say the 80s, were being sampled by hip hop producers and DJs, etc. And the copyright law was, I don't want to say that it was new. Obviously, there was a business and there were laws in place, but the legalities had to evolve because now you had this new art form that was being birthed, and nobody really knew kind of like what to do with like the new creative outlets and like discoveries and kind of like things that people were doing.
And just to piggyback, and you can have it right back, and that's why De La Soul's projects aren't on streaming yet, because they hadn't figured out the sampling laws at the time that De La Soul was putting out music.
Oh wow!
So like,
hey, wait, hold on. While you touching on that, I actually thought, because no kidding, like my wife used to make playlists for me on Spotify, and she had a De La Soul playlist, like, or radio rather, and it will play everything that will kind of like was closely related to like a De La sound. But recently, I went to go look up Stakes is High because I was trying to get prepared for this, right? And I noticed that they are no longer on Spotify whatsoever. So I'm wondering if that is actually a result of like the Joe Rogan.
No. They've never been on. They've never been on Spotify because there's been an ongoing legal issue. De La Soul Radio has been on there because De La Soul's more recent stuff is on there. Right, but their Tommy Boy catalog isn't on there because they just now got the masters for those albums.
Knowledge. I mean, and that's why when we talk about sampling, when we talk about like the history of music and we talk about the music business, a lot of those people, and bringing it back to Clyde Stubblefield, he was a drummer, but a lot of times we don't know if he's actually credited as a writer. There's these intricacies that have to be considered when we're talking about who actually creates the song. So he could have been like the drummer that traveled with James Brown, but he might not have been like the guy that was actually writing the music or anything like that. So I'm like, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just
so I'm glad you said that, because on a serious but lighter note, the reason that the Funky Drummer is titled what it is because James told Clyde, hey, you don't have to do your solo thing, just give him a little bit. He freestyled that air quote solo, and James was so impressed, he was like, well, you know what, we're gonna call this the Funky Drummer.
Yeah, he named it after him.
So it's named after Clyde Stubblefield.
And see that's well, just to wrap up, I think that is why for me it's so important but also so egregious that he has not been paid for every time his drum solo has been sampled. I mean, literally, you got a song named after you because you're that dope, and like you don't ever get paid for it. It's crazy.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Kool Herc, right? It's the same thing with Kool Herc.
Same thing.
You're right.
Right. You're the father of hip hop, but you don't get anything from it. So, and it's crazy because, in harmony with what Shizz said earlier, I was watching a Clyde interview. It might have been the same interview, and they asked him, how did you come up with the ghost beat? Clyde's technique is now referred to as the ghost beat. He didn't even know that. He didn't even know.
That's insane.
You've changed music forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like two generations. 2 generations.
Right.
Come on, man. Like 2 generations.
Right.
That's wild.
But I'm glad that we are having these conversations. I'm glad that at least people know his name, and I think that's why it's so important that we continue to bring these names forward, because when we have these conversations, a lot of times people listen to these records and we always talk about how people think that people are dead, God rest his soul, obviously, but a lot of times we think that people are dead, or like they're not like living anymore just because you see their face on a vinyl record. And it's like, no, like, for example, what comes to mind for me is Bob James, who was sampled for, y'all mentioned in y'all episode, Daytona 500, and he was sampled for that song. And it's like, Yeah, like he's come out with a number of records, but this man is still living. He's still coming out with music. Ahmad Jamal, another repeat offender, still coming out with incredible music. Like, we gotta give people their flowers while they can smell them.
Yeah.
Got to, man. It's so important.
Bars.
And that's why I love what we do, and I love having these conversations with brothers like Jay and Dave, because people still care, man.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
This ain't even about you, and I've said this to y'all 1,000 times. This ain't even about music for me. This is about us.
It's our export. That's what we put out there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's our history. We've had
Speaks our language.
We've had so much taken from us, and the music is what we give to the world.
And we don't control it, and that's what pisses me off the most.
Go ahead, Rock. Go ahead.
So that's what I was gonna say. That's why this conversation is mostly important, right? Because somebody could say, well, okay, well, he didn't get paid for it, so what, right? But the fact is, people are y'all. We all are around the same age. When we were kids, everybody wanted to be a basketball player. Everybody agree with that, right? Yeah. Everybody all these kids now want to be rappers, and they want to be hip hop stars, right? If they don't know this history and they don't know that people weren't getting paid then, and that the music that they appreciate now, it's really paying homage to people who didn't get paid and still aren't getting paid. If they don't know that history, they're gonna repeat that shit, and they're not gonna get paid.
That slave deal, the whip and the chain, right? That bullshit. Come on, man. We got to get off that. Man.
That's
we got to start owning our masters, man.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? All they did was kind of rearrange the slave deal. It's still out there. Like now they want a piece of everything that you got. Hey, you got clothes? Oh, we want in. You got drinks? Oh, we want in.
We want that.
Here you go.
That's why and I don't whatever. That's why Button snapped on Yachty, because it's like, how you don't know your business? Like,
wow,
we paved the way for you to know your business. How you doing us and yourself an injustice by not knowing your business.
Here you go. The black skin is not a badge of shame, but rather a glorious symbol of national greatness. So with all that being said, we've talked a couple tracks. We've talked Black Star. We've talked Don Randy and Axelrod. We've talked The Roots. We've talked James Brown, the funky drummer, and everything in between. So with all that being said, Jay and Dave, I'm gonna give you brothers the opportunity to give your final thoughts on everything we discussed, you know what I'm saying? Because I know it was a plethora of things, you know what I'm saying? But whatever final thoughts you have, the floor is yours, gentlemen.
All right, I'll take it. Like, look, honestly, like the premise of PE, man, when Jay and I first, came up with the concept, man, we were all about building a network.
Talk to him.
And educating us. You understand what I'm saying? And like, I really, you don't understand. Like, I hate using that word really, but I mean, that's just, it's just me expressing, how I really feel right now. But I really appreciate this opportunity to be able to, to chop it up with you guys and build with you guys. Like, like our mantra is build while we build. But this is awesome. This is amazing, right? You're taking something that we've built, like, our music, our culture, and, you kind of elaborating on it, kind of spreading that love, spreading that information to folks, man. And again, you guys, the acumen is impressive, right? You guys are amazing. So with that being said, look, I'm honored. I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I'm hopefully this keeps going, right? We keep pushing this. We start, keep educating our folks, and and build from this point. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I would just say, like, man, it's been resonating all day while we were preparing for this. It's like call to action, right? It's like Black Thought, right? When Black Thought was 12 years old, I'm sure he was rhyming, right? But do you think he knew that we would be discussing his work right now? You feel me? Like, so for anybody who is listening, whatever it is that you think that you have to contribute to the world, make that shit matter. Do it, but make it matter, because it can. It can matter. I think that's what I got.
Oh yeah.
Ray, what you got, Ray?
Let me start with this. We were talking about David Axelrod. I was trying to remember her name, and it finally came to me. Letta Mabulu. That was the South African singer that I was trying to reference, that David Axelrod produced with around the same time that he was producing for Lou Rawls. So salutations and salute to David Axelrod as a producer. That being said, I feel like this is Shizz said it. I feel like this is our most conscious episode. We did Black Star and The Roots back to back. And that's not lost on me because our first guest specialized in building up Black men. Physically,
build while we build.
Physically, mentally, emotionally.
Black women too.
I will.
Nice.
Girl dad.
Girl dad, all day.
Nice.
All day. So I'll always salute you brothers for what you do. I'll always salute artists like Common, Kweli, Yasin, Tariq, Amir. Like, it's funny, like you don't know these artists, but because of the music you relate to them. So I have no problem saying I love these brothers.
Yeah.
With like what they mean to me as a Black man, as a hip hop head. Just gratitude. That's all I have. Just gratitude for the art, gratitude for where we come from, where we're going, what we've built, what we've given to the world. And with that being said, I'll pass the floor to Lex.
Yeah, some important points were made all throughout this episode. In talking about everyone who contributed to, moments in time, moments in musical time, and I'm just grateful to be able to discuss it and, to have you guys on, Jay and Dave, thank you so much for honoring us with your presence and your knowledge and, just in your passion for music. I mean, it definitely came through today and, we couldn't ask for anything more. So for me, one of the things I want to say is the distinction when we talk about conscious hip hop versus like non-conscious hip hop. And to me, conscious hip hop is just life. You're just talking about life. And I don't understand why we had to kind of dissect it or maybe make it so divisive in terms of calling it conscious hip hop. Because to me, who wouldn't want to be conscious? Like, who wouldn't want to?
Lex, I got you.
That's a good topic.
You got the floor right back.
Dave, that's a good topic, Dave.
That's huge.
No, that wasn't.
That's huge.
because that wasn't something that we did. We didn't do that.
Right.
The industry created that label.
Right.
And we know who the industry is.
Yeah.
So, we did not do that.
Let's take it back. That's it. Let's take it back, man. This is our shit.
Yeah, and I think I think that we are. I want to give us that credit. I think that so much is evolving, and in particular in the music industry, but just the musicians themselves. I think we're realizing how much we need to have more control over our music and owning our masters, knowing our business. I think we really are taking control and understanding how important it is to have ownership of what you do, because it's your creativity, it's your life, so yeah, that's my final word.
Nice.
And that goes for podcasts too. The creativity is life. So you brothers keep doing what you're doing. Shizz, what you got?
With confidence, you have won before you started. Jay and Dave, please tell the people how they can reach y'all and tell them your hashtags and your tags and all that good stuff, please.
Forgot about that. Yo, Dave, they asking us for our stuff, bro. We made it.
We in. We here now. We here now. Okay.
It's at PE_Dave_J. That's right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well,
and I'm sure Alexa will put a link somewhere in the joint.
Yeah.
Yo, definitely about to go check out. Soon as we hang up, I'm about to go check out the something gold. What's the name of the song again?
Oh, Visions of Gold, my single. Yeah,
I already found it on YouTube. I just been waiting.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's dope.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
with all that being said, with all this extended talking conversation, please drop your bars.
Yes. I had such an incredible time, with this episode with you guys. Once again, thank you so much. And as always, of course, much love to everybody that has been watching the episodes with us so far. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to tell us what songs and samples you want us to talk about next. Leave a comment. Let us know. And as always, stay tuned for the next episode.
Hey, K.
Subscribe.
Hey, and that's word to David Axelrod.
Hey, get your PE in with Dave and Jay, man. They some beasts in it.
Yeah. Flood that merchandise.
like I've been working with them, man.
I see it.
Hey Jay, before you came in, I told Dave, I said I was gonna wear my PE shirt, but I was working out to it yesterday. So now it's laundry day. My bad.
That's you.
You know what? I don't know why this comes to mind for me, and I don't know if it was intentional, but and I think Dave, you might have kind of alluded to it, but just like, we're talking about PE. I'm thinking about Public Enemy, and I'm thinking about what they did for the culture, and I'm thinking about what you guys are doing for the culture as well, on your podcast and the things that you're talking about, and how you're just like really, it starts with a step, it starts with that conversation. It starts with like putting the ego aside. It starts with like really opening your mind and being open to what we're bringing to each other and allowing people to like, to see that, kudos once again to you guys, man.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Hey, did we just become best friends? Like, this just happened?
Word to step brothers.
We about to go do karate in the basement.
Right. and go do a drum solo for no reason.
Got so much room for activities.
Oh my God.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you.
You brothers have been great.
Hey, thank you for agreeing to do this. Thank you for putting up with our breaks and stops in between. They ain't gonna see that on the editing side, but
I
appreciate y'all.
It's all love,
super dope.